What is up, Broncos fans? We are back here again to do another episode of Opinionated. We're going to be recapping the 2018 NFL Draft. I'm Evan here once again with my co-host Brian.
What's up, Broncos country? Glad to be back.
We're going to touch on all the Broncos picks. I think John Elway, to be honest with you, Brian, I think for me, as a guy that's been critical of him, of his drafting, maybe my favorite draft that he's done just off initial reaction. And obviously, we got to start at the top. Broncos stood pat after all the videos we did and talking about trading back. None of that materialized because of the way the board fell, and the Broncos stayed at number 5 and took Bradley Chubb, defensive end out of NC State, 6'4", 269 pounds. Just an amazing pick, I think, overall by the Broncos. I've already kind of given my overall thoughts on this, Brian. I think it's a home run, so I'll just give it to you, man. Give the floor to you. What do you think of the Broncos having Bradley Chubb now and him falling to 5 in the first place?
Well, I think the value in itself is incredible. You know, you hear things around the league and rumors and this and that, and there's talk saying that he would have gone 1 last year over Myles Garrett if he had come out last year, which is a statement. So the fact that Cleveland not only passed on him once but twice, you know, in the first 4 picks says a lot. I think like I said, the value is incredible. As Bronco fans, I don't know how you're not excited about the pick. I know a lot of people did want quarterback, a lot of people didn't want quarterback, a lot of people wanted potentially Quentin Nelson, which would have been a home run as well, I think. But overall, I'm in love with the pick by John Elway. I agree with you going off what you said about being critical of John Elway and his drafts up until this point. In my opinion, as a Broncos fan, it's about time you have a draft like this. In my opinion, you know, we still have yet to see about Carlos Henderson and Jake Butt and guys like that from last year who unfortunately got the injury bug. But overall, as a draft, I love it. It's Like I said, it's about time for John Elway, in my opinion.
100%. And again, the pick of Bradley Chubb, I think, is a home run. And ironically, this was our highest pick since Von Miller since 2011.
It's
another edge rusher,
absolutely.
You know. And again, in this case, the board falls to you. John Elway's patience kind of pays off.
And there was that rumor of the potential trade with Buffalo.
Yep. It was going to happen
if Bradley Chubb wasn't available.
Yeah, and that was going to happen.
Which I think also is a great move by Elway.
It seemed like a win-win.
We don't know the details of the trade, obviously, but I mean, it worked out. It worked out, definitely.
Again, patience kind of paid off. And
absolutely.
Now you add this transcendent pass rusher next to Von Miller, and you have this dynamic duo in a division that also features Joey Bosa and Melvin Ingram in LA, and Khalil Mack obviously in Oakland, so it's kind of nice to have another premier pass rusher to the group. And you're looking at Bradley Chubb. This is a guy, 44 tackles for loss, 20 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, 3 pass deflections his last 2 seasons at North Carolina State. Just an absolute monster. And we were 22nd last year in sacks, 33 overall. Von Miller had 10 of the 33, so one guy has nearly a third of your team sacks. Clearly that was a area we need to address. Bradley Chubb, I think, is a monster. You're talking about a guy who ran a 4.65 at 270 pounds. I know it's not like the most indicative thing of someone's athleticism, but that's pretty freaky. For 28th against the run last year defensively, he's going to shore up that, I think, interior of your defensive line at times as well.
We have a lot
of bodies now.
A lot of firepower, a lot of horsepower, if you will.
Absolutely.
On the defensive line now. And we did before, and now it's even more so now.
Yeah, it seems like this is the most talented pass rush the Broncos possibly have had in quite some time, and maybe the best duo in Miller and Chubb. We got to obviously see.
We'll see, obviously, yeah.
But again, this guy's been compared to Joey Bosa, so I don't. If he can mimic that playing style and that Joey Bosa has, and can showcase that skill set that Joey Bosa has, and the spin move that Joey Bosa has. Chubb has that same spin move. And again, the measurables in the combine are nearly identical. That'd be great for us. So I think we're both in agreement. Bradley Chubb, just an absolute home run for the Broncos at number 5. Next pick, second round for us, 40th overall. This was, I think, a little surprising for me, but ultimately I really liked it. We went Cortland Sutton, wide receiver out of SMU, 6'3", 218 pounds. The Broncos adding a big body wide receiver to the mix offensively. 193 catches, 3,193 yards, 31 touchdowns in his 3 seasons at SMU. Brian, what do you think of this pick, and how do you think Cortland Sutton fits in offensively with the Broncos in 2018?
I think Cortland Sutton fits right in with the Broncos in 2018, and honestly more so than perhaps Demaryius Thomas would care for. I think this kid obviously is raw talent. 6'3", 218.
Yeah.
Immediate red zone target.
Yep.
Which I think is one of our biggest needs.
Yep.
I'm not the biggest Demaryius Thomas fan. I think he can play a little bit more nasty, and if this kid can come in here and play with that nastiness and that alpha dog mentality, I think this kid is going to have a heck of a career.
Yep, and definitely has the measurables, like you said, Brian, 6'3", 218.
Big boy.
And as you mentioned, the Broncos, the red zone offense was an issue last year, especially 19 of 48 overall. That's 39.6% conversion in the red zone. This guy, you would imagine, is going to bring that number up. A quarterback like Case Keenum as well.
With Case Keenum, exactly.
And again, you're talking about a guy, we saw the highlights. I think most people have seen the highlights with this kid. It's been on SportsCenter. The catch radius at 6'5", he showcases it. He makes Odell Beckham-like circus catches. And there is some questions with Cortland Sutton in terms of, can he be a threat in terms of deep threat, and can he take the top off a defense? Can he be a threat in terms of yards after the catch? But he did still run a 4.54, which I don't think is a blazing time by any means, but given his size, 220 pounds, 6'3", pretty good. And he ran a 11.06, 60 yards short shuttle, which was the second best time at the combine for a wideout. So I think he's a lot more athletic and fast and more of a deep threat than people give him credit for. And again, like you said, Brian, with Case Keenum now, a quarterback of his ability in the red zone, this kid can be a dangerous weapon as soon as year 1.
My opinion, too, I don't think, you kind of mentioned it a little earlier, that the 40-yard dash, it's a good way to gauge someone's speed, but as far as football goes, I mean, you're not running straight 40 yards unless you're going on the fly.
Absolutely.
Or unless you're just breaking one and you're a running back.
And pads come into play. There's a lot more factors.
Yeah, so I think, I mean, you hit the nail on the head when you mentioned the
60-yard short shuttle.
Short shuttle, yeah.
Yeah, and this is a guy also, the great thing, he's a great blocker. So even if this kid maybe doesn't make an immediate impact in the passing game, I still think he can make an immediate impact in the run blocking game. So.
Well, and he'll learn too.
Yep, so and he can learn from
he'll hopefully he'll improve.
Yep, and some people were saying he was a first-round pick. You get him at 40. I don't think it'd be too mad. So overall, you'd say this is a good selection by John.
Absolutely.
So we're in agreement. Cortland Sutton, nice to have him, and really interested to see how he fits in, especially in the red zone offensively for the Broncos in 2018. On to the next pick. I believe it was 3rd round, 71st pick. Honestly, I think this was kind of a steal. We got Royce Freeman, running back out of Oregon, 6 foot, 229 pounds. The all-time leading rusher in Oregon history. With C.J. Anderson being released, you had to expect the Broncos to fill that void at some point in this draft. Darius Guice fell. I was texting you during the draft. Take him. We passed on him. Got Cortland Sutton, which is okay. And we end up with Royce Freeman at 71, which great value. Again, uber productive at Oregon. I think a great one-cut runner and is a physical, big-bodied running back who can come and compete for that starting job day 1. And again, maybe not the biggest home run hitter, and maybe, he can improve his pass protection, but this guy, 60 touchdowns at Oregon, over 5,500 yards, 5,621 yards to be exact. Physical in between, the tackle runner. Consistently, this is a guy who I think he's at times been, questioned about his physicality, but I think he plays to his size at 230 pounds. He was shrugging off a bunch of ankle tackles.
And you play to your strength. You play to your strength. Maybe he's not the biggest power guy, that you'll see coming.
Or the biggest home run hitter, but he's kind of a mix of both.
But he'll lower his shoulder if he has to,
and run you up. That's 230 pounds,
and he'll break that outside too.
Like exactly. He's I think pretty versatile. He'll fill that void I think that was left by C.J. Anderson.
Question, yeah.
And again, maybe he doesn't have elite speed, but again, 4.5 40 at
he's still
230 pounds, and he's still electric. He's a
durable.
playmaker.
And durable. To play 4 years.
Yep. And
Oregon?
The thing I like about is had an injury, knee injury, junior year, came back as senior and was even more productive.
There are rumors that the Broncos do believe in Devontae Booker. Whether or not you believe those or not, it's kind of up to you. But at least the Broncos get a guy who can push Devontae Booker to the absolute best.
Absolutely.
If anything.
You now have a competition.
And if Royce Freeman or even D'Angelo Henderson come in and take the job, then so be it.
And I think, honestly, D'Angelo Henderson complements Royce Freeman really well. I think they can play off
More
each
so
other.
than Devontae?
Yeah. I think D'Angelo Henderson is in a great spot because he complements both those guys pretty well with his style. He can kind of do everything. But Royce Freeman, again, he might not have elite open field speed, but he's a guy that's pretty elusive. I think he's going to make guys miss more than you think.
Right.
And he's a playmaker, like you said, Brian, electric. I love it. And he's going to compete for the starting job day one, so I can't wait to see if he can actually do it.
Absolutely.
So, any final thoughts on Royce Freeman? Or?
Let's get to work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
I'm excited.
Moving on to the next pick, Broncos with the 99th pick, we took Isaac Yiadom, I believe, defensive back out of Boston College, 6'1", 190 pounds. You had to expect the Broncos to maybe add some length in the secondary due to losing Aqib Talib. Kid we saw at the Senior Bowl, got to know at the Senior Bowl, I believe played on the North roster. What do you think of adding Yiadom to the secondary? You now have him and Brendan Langley, these two, I believe actually a fourth-round pick, ironically, too, from last year. Do you like bringing in Yiadom, and do you think he can, I guess, help fill a little bit of that void in terms of size at the defensive back position?
Yeah, I do. I mean, if he's 6'1", 190, I think you want to gain a few more pounds. I think you want to maybe be around 200 pounds.
I think strength's going to be an issue for him.
But if you can put on 10, 20 pounds and still be fast enough to run with these receivers in the league, you have a great chance of getting playing time. You know, maybe not so much on the Broncos with Chris Harris and Bradley Roby and, like you said, Tremaine Brock. You know, maybe not right away, but even in situational...
Yeah, it could be a situation against bigger receivers.
You know, going against Julio, who's what,
6'4".
6'4"? Yeah.
You know, this is a kid for sure.
And compared to Chris Harris, who I believe is, 5'10"?
Yeah.
So
maybe even shorter.
Yeah.
Bradley Roby, who's I think 5'11".
So I mean, you bring a little bit more size to the outside at least, and to the cornerback position, which is good, especially in the fourth round.
Yeah, 99th pick.
Yeah.
Great length as well, 32 and a quarter inch arms. And again, as a guy, he's actually a good tackler. I think he's going to help in the run game. Again, if he's situationally in there and they run it on him, he's a guy that's a pretty sure tackler in run support and tough for his size. Like you said, Brian, could maybe add a little strength and size at that frame, again, playing the cornerback position. But he's still pretty tough, which you like to see. And had 17 pass deflections, 2 interceptions last 2 seasons at BC, so pretty productive.
You have the opportunity to sit behind 2 very good corners in Chris Harris and Bradley Roby.
And compete with Brendan Langley, too.
Yeah, and learn as much as you possibly can.
Yep, I think he's in a great environment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ultimately.
So he fits right in,
and if he doesn't play a lot early, in terms of, you know, starting as a nickel or, you know, as the second corner maybe in situations, or taking on those guys like Julio Jones, Des Bryant, the other team's number 1 wideouts right away, or even in year 2, he's a guy that I think special teams wise will contribute.
Yeah.
Right away, and be a sure tackler on that end.
And who knows, he might even have his number called earlier than expected to.
Absolutely. So, interesting pick in Isaac Yiadom, and I think great environment for him to hopefully develop into maybe a number 1 corner one day for the Denver Broncos. Next pick, with the 106th pick, Broncos drafted a guy I know you like a lot, Brian, Josie Jewel, linebacker out of Iowa, 6'1", 234 pounds. This guy's a tackling machine. 433 total tackles during his time at Iowa. 10 sacks as well. Very productive guy. Doesn't have the greatest athleticism, measurable size. He's going to have all those questions, those typical questions, but the production's there. People say he's bad in coverage, but he's got instincts. He's got great awareness. He's going to be a vocal leader. Like, he's got all the things you want from an inside linebacker starter. And again, the notion he can't cover, 26 pass deflections, 6 interceptions. So
right.
Clearly was making plays against the pass at Iowa. What do you think of adding Josie Jewel again? I know you like this kid a lot, man.
I do like this kid a lot. I think he might be my favorite pick of the draft just because this kid loves to play football.
Absolutely.
You know, he loves to play football. He's smart. His football instinct, not just his IQ, but his instinct
absolutely
is I feel through the roof.
I think it's huge.
You know, and I think those type of qualities and those type of traits is what you look for and what you fall in love with at the linebacker position. I feel like maybe not right away, but I feel like in the future of this kid, if this kid gets it, and I think he will, because he has all the tools to do it. If he gets it, this kid can come in here and just run your defense.
Absolutely.
You know, he can be that the defensive captain. You know, he'll get the plays from the sideline and he'll run that defense.
I think
which is in my opinion kind of a vacant role on our defense.
It is. Reminds me of Zach Thomas, kind of.
Yeah.
Linebacker, formerly Hall of Fame, probably linebacker of the Miami Dolphins. Undersized guy, but like you said, Brian, he's just smart. He's instinctual. He's maybe that missing piece in the middle of your defense in terms of, again, being that voice next to Brandon Marshall. And again, there is concerns with athleticism. He ran a 4.8 240. That's not a great time for a linebacker.
Sure.
But he's been productive in the passing game. 6 interceptions in his career. 26 pass deflections at Iowa. I think he's aware enough. Again, the instincts, I think, show in coverage. And he's going to make more plays in coverage than you think.
And like we said earlier, you play your strengths, essentially. Yep. You hope to, right? You know, so if you're not, obviously, if you're guarding or if you're in coverage on Gronk, you're probably not going to win that jump ball, but you might be able to free it from his hands on the way down or something. Yep. And that's the way that's how he plays.
Absolutely, no question.
You know, which I think is great. Is I think exactly not only what this defense needs, but this whole team needs.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he'd be a huge piece in the middle of the defense. And again, at 106, I like that. You know, some people I know aren't high on him again because of the lack of measurables, but I think just a football player, when you really take all that out of it and really look at the production, you watch this guy play. Could be eventual, I think, 100 tackle guy for the Denver Broncos. So love having Josie Jewel, now linebacker out of Iowa, into the mix at the linebacker spot, adding depth to that position for the Denver Broncos. The next pick for the Broncos, this was a 113th pick, also in the 4th round. This might be my favorite pick of the entire draft for Denver. Deshawn Hamilton, wide receiver out of Penn State, 6'1", 203 pounds. Another guy played at the Senior Bowl with us, I think was on the North roster, so obviously Broncos really were influenced heavily by their week in Mobile, Alabama. But I love this kid. What do you think, Brian? I didn't really expect us to draft another wide receiver out of Cortland Sutton, but this makes sense given the fact that DT and Emmanuel both unrestricted free agents in 2020. Now you have this kid, Carlos Henderson, Cortland Sutton. Something's brewing there potentially, but ultimately, what do you think of adding Deshawn Hamilton to the mix of wide receiver now?
I think it's very big. I think it's huge. Very significant, you know. Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders, like you said, are not going to be here forever. And perhaps, maybe I came on a little strong when talking about Cortland Sutton, but perhaps Emmanuel Sanders and Demaryius Thomas might not be here within the next year or two. So the fact that we're stacking at receiver with guys like Cortland Sutton and Deshawn Hamilton, I think it's great. I think it's great for the offensive tool shed, if you will. You know how to sit down in the zone and just overall get open. The ball's going to find you.
Especially with a guy like Case.
Right, who can extend the play.
Extend the play and also has the IQ
to look for that open guy.
And like you said, Brian, I think he's going to be a guy, great route runner, reliable third down target.
Absolutely.
Him and Case Keenum, I think, are going to have a rapport immediately. I really do. I'm just I don't know if that's going to happen, just gut feeling. I think they're going to have chemistry. And again, his production ain't going to blow you away. 214 catches, 2,842 yards, 18 touchdowns in 4 seasons at Penn State. But still, this guy is a possession receiver, good size for the slot.
The second in 15, and we run a bubble screen, and Hamilton has the ability to shake a couple defenders and make a play for 16 yards.
That's
on
huge.
First down.
That's huge.
You don't think about that when you're in a position to kick the game-winning field goal.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So I think his production can't necessarily be measured with numbers or stats.
He's going to make the catches.
But he's gonna make plays.
Yep, he's a playmaker, and he was a guy. Another thing, beloved at Penn State. People call him special, great leader. You're adding that kind of locker room presence. I don't think you can go wrong there in terms of the person that Deshawn Hamilton is. And again, another guy questioned about only plays at one speed, but ran a 4.52 at his pro day. So I don't really buy into that. Yeah. I think he's more shifty than you think. I think he's going to break guys more often. You think maybe he's not the quickest guy in terms of breaking a guy out of his breaks, but once he gets the ball, his yards after contact, his toughness, it's there.
Again, and those routes, those crisp routes will definitely
pay off, I think.
Absolutely.
And as we mentioned in the beginning, the whole flexibility now with Emmanuel and DT, there's some reports we might be moving on from one, if not both of them, even as early as 2019, try to get out of the last year of each of their respective contracts. If not, say you just let their contracts go away, or I should say pan out or play out, and then we get to 2020, now you have this kid, you have Cortland Sutton, you have Carlos Henderson. You'd hopefully feel pretty good.
Right. So that's why,
it's another huge reason of getting this kid.
Just having extra tools in the tool shed.
Yeah,
for the
that's
future.
the best way to put it. And you got to, again, I think Case Keenum, looking at this draft, you got to feel pretty excited out of
if I'm
these
Case,
two weapons.
This can go better for Case Keenum.
Out of weapon, a reliable kid like this, wide out.
And you're going to get chances because you got Vaughn and Chubb coming off.
Now you got that defense getting better. So Case Keenum won, and no quarterback drafted. He was a big winner of this draft as well.
No question.
But Deshawn Hamilton, again, for me, I really love this guy. Love this kid. And I think, again, he's polished. He's great locker room presence, and he's gem of this draft class. I think he's going to be huge for us going forward, and probably be the eventual replacement. I'll say it right now, to Emmanuel Sanders. I really believe that. So, looking forward to seeing what he does as a Denver Bronco. Next pick, we're going to talk about Broncos at 156. I also thought this was pretty good value. Kind of surprising as well. Didn't expect us to take a tight end. We went Troy Fumagalli, tight end, Wisconsin, 6'5", 247. Big Ten tight end of the year out of Wisconsin once again. What do you think of adding him, Brian, and how he fits in with our tight end group of Jake Butt, Jeff Heuerman, and the rest of the guys here in Denver currently?
Real big boy, 6'5", almost 250 pounds.
Great size for the position.
Great size for the tight end position. And like how we were talking about, Case Keenum probably loves that too. I hear this and that here and there about how the Broncos perhaps could have addressed the tight end possession earlier or even via free agency. So I understand the concern with drafting a tight end so late, but I mean you're obviously buying into Jake Butt, which okay, suit him up, time to strap him up, time to play ball. But at the same time, Fumagalli might just come in and take the job for himself. Who knows? Because Jake Butt hasn't played a down in the NFL.
Hasn't earned anything.
So the experience is essentially the same.
Yep,
right?
Absolutely. They're both rookies, essentially.
Right? So
in a way, yeah.
So who knows? Fumagalli could come in with the attitude like this is my job, which he should if I'm Fumagalli, So I think it's a good pick, and if worst comes to worst, say they're both productive, Jake Butt and Fumagalli run that double tight end set.
Nothing bad about that.
And the red zone.
Yep. Adds to the red zone again.
So you get two young talents at tight end.
167, 165.
Plus Sutton too.
Yep.
So hopefully,
a lot of size.
If we can put the puzzle pieces together with this red zone offense, kind of what it seems like we're kind of putting together,
could be huge.
It could be dangerous.
And you hit the nail on the head. I think the best part of drafting Troy Fumagalli, the twin tight end sets you can run with him and Jake Butt. He's a good complement. He's a good blocker. He's very strong at the point of attack. This is a guy missing his index finger on his left hand, yet still has really good hands.
Yeah.
And again, won't blow you away with the production, but
Sure.
I think the talent's there. And again, I think he's a great compliment. You could bring him in on run situations
Sure.
more so than Jake Butt.
Right.
But this is also a guy, he can get deep in the middle of the field. He can find the soft zones in the coverage and make you pay 20, 30 yards down the field.
Right. And talking about the run support and the run blocking and the run situation, that's incredibly valuable. You know, Virgil Green, who's obviously not on the Broncos anymore, essentially made a career of being a blocking tight end.
Yep.
Which is interesting because he can catch.
Yep.
He can receive.
Great athlete too.
But he just came in and blocked.
Yep.
You know, so if you can lay the foundation that you can play in the league, whether it's blocking or catching the ball, you're going to get playing time.
Yep.
Right, you're going to get on the field. And
like I said, I think he's already pretty good enough receiver
Right.
to complement
Pretty
Jake
versatile,
Butt.
sure.
Versatile is a great word. And going back, we have a quarterback now, Case Keenum, who loves the tight end. You give him two young, big tight ends like this.
Go get the ball.
Yeah, could get interesting. Could
Go
be
get
fun
the
to
ball.
watch. I really like bringing in Troy Fumagalli. And 5th round pick, 156th pick. Good, really good value. These next 3 picks, the last 3 picks for the Broncos, we're going to go through these decently quickly. At the 183rd pick, the Broncos drafted Sam Jones, offensive guard out of Arizona State, 6'5", 305 pounds, hometown kid actually, out of Highlands Ranch.
Yeah.
Good movement skills, guard that can get to the second level. He's going to get out on pull blocks, but really a guy, I don't know if he's going to get on the field much.
Sure.
There's some concerns with his size and frame and, how he's going to do against more powerful defensive linemen at the next level. But adds depth to the position. What do you think, Brian, bringing in a hometown kid here in Sam Jones in the 6th round at the offensive guard position?
I mean, you always love the hometown story. You know, growing up in Denver, Colorado, this kid, I believe, went to Thunder Ridge High School from Highlands Ranch. Yeah.
Yep.
So, you always love that story. Hopefully, he can come in and kind of like what we talked about with Isaac Iadom, kind of learn from
The guys in front, Max
right,
Garcia,
good
Ronald
examples
Leary,
from Ronald Leary and
Matt
even
Paradis.
Jared Bell here. I know he's not a tackle,
But you could learn from him.
but you can definitely learn a lot of things from veteran offensive linemen. And like how we talked about in past episodes, those linemen, man, those are the trunk of your offense. Those are the tree trunk of your offense.
Never can have too many guys.
Never can have too many good offensive linemen.
Yeah.
So if you can come in, and improve and just work at getting better and want to get better, who knows?
Yeah. Add some athleticism to the line too.
And with our injury history in our offensive line, his number, like we said, could be called sooner than he's expected.
And then who knows what
And he might get a heck of an opportunity. And
who knows what the kid could do.
right.
So add some athleticism,
Sure.
like I said, to the line too. So nice to have Sam Jones coming home, and should see what he does. In the 7th round, with the 217th pick, we took linebacker Keyshawn Berea, I believe, out of Washington. I'm sorry if I said that last name wrong. 6 foot, 230 pounds, kind of undersized again for the linebacker position. A lot, like I mentioned with Deshawn Hamilton earlier, the guys at Washington, so complimentary of him as a locker room presence and just a person. So, and had 240 tackles, 19.5 tackles for loss, 7.5 sacks during his career at Washington, so clearly still productive.
Right.
Mainly a special teams guy, but great story, Brian. What do you think of bringing in Keyshawn Berea? Again, 7th round pick for the Denver Broncos.
Great pick. I mean, not great pick. Maybe we use that term too loosely, but it's a good pick. You know, you always. I don't care if the guy plays. You know, you always want that locker room presence.
Yeah, good character guy.
It's like Tim Tebow. You know, he didn't. In my opinion, he didn't play much, but you
want guys like him.
I want him in my locker room.
Guys like him around.
You know, and that's to go off what we said a little bit earlier too about doing things for your football team that can't necessarily be measured in numbers or in stats, that are far more valuable to the success of a football team. He's a great leader, great locker room presence, still productive, like you said, at the linebacker position in tackles.
Which we
over his career at Washington, you know.
We can't get enough linebackers either. So.
Yeah, in depth at linebacker. So who, like we said, who knows? Maybe this kid gets his number called and he comes in and takes a job. Mm-hmm. Ideally, that's what we want. We would like to see happen.
Yep. But definitely a guy that could be
all these prospects.
Definitely a guy that could be like the backbone of our team, of a special teams player.
Or the future with him and Jewel.
Yep, no doubt. Definitely a guy, I think, just a guy you want on your team.
Sure.
Bottom line.
No question.
And the last pick of the 2018 NFL draft by the Denver Broncos at 226 with that selection was running back David Williams out of Arkansas, 6 foot, 224 pounds, running a 4.52 40-yard dash. Big back, runs in between the tackles. I think going to be utilized in goal line situations. What do you think of adding him, Brian, again to the running back situation and mix now? And getting, again, a bigger kind of, adding more size to this position.
Yeah, you can always use a guy who can pound the rock. You know, you always want a guy who can just run hard and make tacklers sorry for wanting to tackle them.
Punish them, absolutely.
Right, you know, so you can always use guys like that.
And he seems to be that.
Yeah, so. At 6 foot, 230.
224.
224.
So nearly 230.
But, yeah, I mean, come in and pound that rock, man.
Yep. I think he's going to get a lot of goal line carries, contribute on special teams. Again, going to have that opportunity.
And that's how Terrell Davis got his opportunity.
Story. Turned into a Hall of Famer, our best running back probably of all
time. So sky's the limit with all these kids, man.
And, again, it's nice to have a guy like this that can come in, again, situationally, and run in between the tackles on short down situations, even third and inches. Yeah. Right. So I'm excited to have him. And it was productive last year. 8 touchdowns at Arkansas. Average about 6 yards per carry. Can't go wrong. Nice pick, I think, at the end of the 7th round. So that's all the draft picks that the Broncos selected. Real quickly, just want to focus on 2 undrafted free agents that the Broncos made after the draft. Mainly one, and again, another local story here. I love this. Love this to death. Running back Philip Lindsay out of CU. Broncos signed him again as an undrafted free agent. 5'8", 184 pounds. Born in Denver, Colorado. Went to South High School in Denver, obviously played at CU, all-time, I believe, leader there in all-purpose yards and yards from scrimmage. So, I mean, just been an absolute workhorse and monster for CU. Reminds me a lot of Darren Sproles. Ran a 4.39 40 at his pro day. And again, doesn't have great size. There's questions about the size. But runs tough, energy, and like we just mentioned with Keyshawn Barea, and Josie Jewel and Deshawn Hamilton, phenomenal locker room guy.
Right.
Everyone says this kid is infectious. You want to be around him. He loves the game.
Just loves football. You know, just loves football. And that's, what more could you want? In my opinion, you get a guy like Demaryius Thomas. He doesn't love football. In my opinion. Call me critical, call me whatever you want, but you just want a guy who loves football. There's no question about him loving football.
And Philip Lindsay's definitely that guy.
And he is that guy. And he's a heck of a running back, too.
Yep. I think he really can do everything as a running back.
Right.
No question. So
heck of a running back.
3,775 yards.
Love to have him on your team.
I think he's Darren Sproles, like I said. And this is a guy I've seen, even at his size, I've seen him take monster hits, pop right back up. Tougher than hell, which I love. Can run in between the tackles. Can be a receiver. I mean, look at the production as a receiver. 117 catches, 1,084 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And also 45 career kick returns. So has a value in the return game. Can play on special teams again. But I love adding this kid into the running back room and into the locker room. I think he's going to be a lot more of a contributor, and I think he can be a gem.
More so than people think. I think so too.
And could maybe be a potential starter or rotational running back here in his hometown of Denver. How can you not root for this kid? I think it's a tremendous story, and like you said, Brian, a guy that hell of a running back. What can't this kid do?
Yeah, what can't he do?
He's 184, but tell me what he can't do on the field.
He just wants to play.
Yep.
And so he kind of reminds me of a similar C.J. Anderson. I think his motor is a little bit different, and his
he's way smaller, but He's way faster too.
Yeah. But I feel like the way he runs,
his physical run,
his run style,
like aggressive, like very very energetic, just tough running style.
Yeah.
Again, the size is not an issue because of, like you said, watch him run, man. Just watch. Watch
the size of the bite in the dog.
Yeah, and this guy fits that. Everything you said about finding a role, just taking advantage of opportunity, knowing that you could play, just being in this position.
I don't care how big
this guy's going to take advantage of all that. And the last guy we're just going to highlight very quickly, just kind of touch on his numbers, is edge rusher, outside linebacker Jeff Holland, 6'2", 249 pounds out of Auburn. This is a guy that's just vicious. I mean, he mauls quarterbacks. He had 12.5 tackles for loss, 9.5 sacks, and I think 4 forced fumbles last season at Auburn. Not a guy that I think's ever going to be put in coverage situations.
Sure.
But another horse to get after the quarterback, violent edge rusher. What do you think, Brian?
And I think the way he plays, coming off the edge, like you said, he's not going to play very much in coverage situations. So just to have your job strictly be go get the quarterback, go get the ball, essentially, and be nasty about it and play with that attitude. I think that's a great role for him, and hopefully he can come in and establish himself as a prominent pass rusher.
Yeah, I think he can be, and with our durability, again, issues with guys like Shane Ray and Derek Wolfe and Shaq, just given their past, this guy can have an opportunity to make an impact. He'll play on third downs, potentially be that pass rushing specialist. Like you said, maybe this is the guy that's that Energizer Bunny.
Yeah.
He adds that demeanor to our defensive line. I think he's a great pickup as an undrafted free agent. So overall, that's our recap for the Broncos 2018 NFL Draft. I think they did a great job. I really do. I think this, again, my probably favorite draft that John Elway has had. I truly believe that. Again, Bradley Chubb at the top, addressing the wide receiver positions for the future, addressing the running back position. I think the Broncos hit so many nails on the head, so to say.
Key positions that we want to address for sure.
So overall, just I think a great weekend and draft for the Denver Broncos. Can't wait to see all these guys play. And again, I think we covered them all pretty well. So any final thoughts, Brian?
No, like you said, a lot of positions that needed addressing, and we addressed them. So I'm excited to see not only what these guys can produce on the football field, but also guys like Carlos Henderson and Jake Butt and a bunch of those other rookies, essentially, who are going to be competing for jobs, not only with guys like Demaryius Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, but their fellow rookies as well. So I'm excited.
So that's the third episode of Opinionated, guys. Again, our draft recap. Leave a comment below, guys. What do you think of the Broncos draft? What do you think of the prospects we got and how we did? And please like the video, subscribe if you like this episode, our first episode, second episode. Check them all out. We really appreciate the support and feedback, guys. And go Broncos.
Go Broncos. Peace out, Broncos country.
Take care, guys. We'll see you for episode 4.